What is blue economy and why is it important for shipping? In this video, we explain blue economy concept. This is a must-know topic for MEO Class 1/Chief Engineer orals. Like, share, and subscribe for related topics such as decarbonization, EEXI, CII, GHG, carbon capture. Let's dive deep into this topic.
Ever stop to think about your morning coffee? Or maybe the phone in your hand? How did it get to you? Well, chances are it traveled across a massive, almost invisible economy that operates on our oceans. A system that, and I mean this literally, moves our entire world.
And just how big are we talking? Get a load of this number. 90%. That's right, 90% of all global trade is carried by sea. It's the silent, powerful engine humming in the background of our daily lives. But what happens when that engine starts to show signs of serious strain?
And that leads us to a really tough question, one we've kind of dodged for a long time. What's the real cost of having everything we want, whenever we want it? We're not just talking about money here. We're talking about the environmental price tag. And it's getting so high, it's forcing us to completely rethink how we interact with the sea.
So to deal with all this, a new idea is starting to bubble up. A whole new way of looking at things called the blue economy. And its entire goal is to make that 90%, that massive ocean engine, work with the planet, not against it.
So what is the blue economy, really? Well, at its heart, it's a balancing act. It's about using our oceans for economic growth, creating jobs, making lives better. But, and this is the important part, there's one non-negotiable rule. You have to preserve the health of the ocean while you do it. It's about growth that actually gives back.
Now, we're not just talking about a small fix here. This isn't about tweaking a few things. We're talking about a fundamental, ground-up shift in how we think. It's moving away from an old model of just taking to a new one built on sustainability. It's a true sea change, if you'll pardon the pun.
That's a fair question, right? I mean, haven't we always used the ocean for economic stuff? And yeah, we have. But as you're about to see, the main goal was totally different.
Okay, check this out. The old way, the traditional model, was dead simple. Profit. That was it. And that single-minded focus led straight to overfishing, a huge dependency on fossil fuels, and basically treating the environment like it was someone else's problem. The blue economy flips that on its head. Yeah, profit is still important, you need it. But now it's tied directly to sustainability. So fishing becomes regulated, energy shifts to renewables, and the environment, it's no longer an afterthought, it's a top priority.
So why should we care? Well, the stakes are just massive. For starters, this supports the entire global economy and creates jobs for millions of people who live near the coast. It's about making sure we can feed a growing planet. And maybe most important of all, it's one of our best shots at protecting marine life and fighting climate change. A healthy ocean, you see, soaks up a ton of carbon dioxide. It's a huge ally.
All right, I know this is a big, high-level idea, so let's bring it down to earth. How does this whole thing actually work in the real world? We're going to step on board, so to speak, and look at the key industries that are making this happen.
First up, you've got shipping. As we said, this is the absolute backbone. It's the circulatory system for everything we buy and sell. Without shipping, the world economy just stops.
Then, of course, there's fisheries and aquaculture. This sector is an absolute lifeline for feeding billions of people. But, and this is a big but, making it sustainable so we don't wipe out fish populations, that's one of the blue economy's most urgent challenges.
And then you've got energy. The change here is just huge. We're moving away from the old days of just drilling for oil and gas offshore. Now we're looking to a future powered by the incredible, clean energy of wind, waves, and even tides.
Now, of all these industries, shipping is in a really unique spot. It's the great enabler, right? It connects everything else. But that also means it has a massive responsibility to get this right. So that leads to a critical question. How do you actually enforce these new sustainable rules on a ship in the middle of the ocean?
And to answer that, we're going to go from the 30,000-foot view right down into the engine room. We're going to meet the person who is on the absolute front lines of this whole revolution, the ship's chief engineer. This is where global policy gets very real.
So, how does this one person on one ship actually play a part in this huge global concept? Well, their role isn't just a small part of it, it's absolutely central. They're the ones who turn all those big sustainability goals into reality day after day. And just look at what's on their plate. This is so much more than just keeping the engines humming. A chief engineer today obsesses over fuel efficiency.
They have to comply with new, complex regulations like EEXI and CII, which are basically a ship's carbon report card. They manage systems to slash emissions. They treat ballast water so they don't accidentally introduce invasive species to new places. They make sure not a single drop of oil hits the water. They are essentially the gatekeepers of green shipping.
Now, these engineers aren't just winging it. They're not making this up as they go. They're following a very strict global rulebook that's set by the International Maritime Organization, or the IMO. Think of them as the UN agency that's the referee for all of global shipping, making sure everyone plays by the same high standards.
And if you wanted to know the most important part of that rulebook, it's a convention called MARPOL. You can think of it as the Bible for preventing pollution from ships. It covers everything: oil, garbage, chemicals, air pollution, you name it. It is the legal muscle behind the blue economy out on the open water.
Okay, so let's pull the focus back out again. The daily checklist of a chief engineer is a direct line connecting one single ship to the future health of our entire planet. Their work is a small piece of a much, much bigger puzzle.
And let's be real, it's a tough puzzle to solve. The blue economy is facing some gigantic challenges. We're still dealing with horrible marine pollution from plastics and oil, overfishing is still a massive problem in a lot of places, and all the while, climate change is making the oceans warmer and more acidic. And even when you have good rules, trying to enforce them across millions of square miles of ocean, that's a huge task.
But here's the cool part. The future is looking incredibly innovative. We are on the verge of some amazing breakthroughs. Zero-emission ships that could run on things like ammonia or hydrogen. Smart ships that use AI to plot the most efficient route possible. And even green ports that create a totally sustainable supply chain from end to end. Technology is a huge ally in all of this.
So, it all comes back to where we started. The ocean is the engine of our world. It drives our economy, it regulates our climate, it sustains life itself. The blue economy gives us the instruction manual for how to take care of that engine. The only question left is, are we willing to roll up our sleeves and do the work?
If you found this useful, hit like and subscribe for more maritime exam and seagoing knowledge. See you in the next video.